Armada Book 1. Chapter 3, Planet Seattle Part 1. November 2057 near Planet Seattle. General Cook, please come to the bridge, Frank said over the comm. Alan was talking to Andrew and Billy when the announcement blared loud. Let's go, Alan told the two who are still talking lively about how Billy is so easy on the trigger. Arriving, the three generals were greeted by a face on the screen. It was Dr. John Reyes, head of the scientific expedition on Planet Seattle. The ship just appeared this morning and just hovered above a small uncloaked Mac village. It does not seem to see our cloaked positions and personnel. We need your assistance. They may be hostile. Yes, Dr. Reyes, on our way. In the meantime, maintain your cloaked position. Alan said as he looked at Franks. We will be there in 3 days. Please do not use your TPs. Franks told the doctor. We have sent control of our command center to your ship. All personnel have evacuated to our underground residential complex beneath the lake. No personnel is above ground. Thank you, General. Reyes said. We will establish control when we get in range 2 days from now. Franks said. Andrew, same MO. Although I think your teams should double the Mac infiltration team complements. A lot of them, more than 200, have approached me in several instances to send them out with the teams as infiltrators and hackers. Alan said. Yes, Alan, but are they any good? Andrew asked. You know they're really good at this. Alan said, walking away toward his office. Hi, General Man, General Guzman. Ellie greeted Andrew and Billy as they entered the lab hall. Gifka followed behind Ellie. My team was studying the long-range communications you blew up, and it's a good thing we were able to get the schematics from the ship database. It would seem that their long-range comm is much more advanced than the Macs. They use a certain wave pattern that can weave in between phases and still end up where it was directed. Okay, Ellie, I know you're smart, but can you explain to Billy here what makes this special? You know how our cloak operates. It gets a programmed set of objects like our bodies out of sync or into a different phase. Our cloak is like you're trying to travel between two realities but get stuck in the middle, so you're in a different phase from a reality but not quite the other. This wave travels like that, so the range is longer because it can travel faster. Like cloaked radio waves. That's so exciting. Billy commented. Yes. But pointed directly to the receiver. I thought of that, also the pointed thingy. Andrew said, but was obviously trying to look smart. He believes he knows that people think of him as smart anyway, so he can get away with it. Their beacon uses the same technology, and we were able to reverse engineer the small equipment. Ellie explained. Ellie, I share your excitement. Okay, let me go to the Max and get some more in our team. Ellie, check your tablet for our new gig. Wait for me, Andrew. I need to do that too. Gifka whispered to Ellie. They don't look that excited. They're just saying they're excited to make me happy. I don't even think they understood what I was talking about. You did not even explain that they also use the same wave profile to scan and generate visuals. The conclusion is that they're a little allergic to information. You know how it is. Too much of anything is bad for you, and in their case a little bit is bad enough. Ellie said, and Gifka smiled. Andrew arrived at the conference hall with Billy, Reddig, and Gadden. Over 200 Macs have gathered to listen. As you already know, we are on our way to Planet Seattle to check out this alien ship that appeared over a Mac village. I have asked Gadden to organize our infiltration teams according to expertise as our existing Mac infiltration teams, but maybe scaled 25 times. You will still report to different GX teams as infiltration and spy support. But some will be first wave of teams of 10, second, and so forth. Some members of each team will be assigned to specific areas such as hacking and installing tags for equipment beam out. It is very important at all times to be efficient, execute your actions fast, and communicate to each member at all times. One Mac for each team will be monitoring from the ship so actions are coordinated. The most important thing is everybody must come out alive, nobody gets killed. Done. Andrew said. Gadden and Reddig started naming names of the team members. You could see their excitement at the prospect of spying deployment. They raised their arms as their names were called, like winning a medal in a championship game. You just love these guys. They love spying as they love their booze. Billy whispered to Andrew. Rabina just entered the hall and approached Billy. Sir, I want to show you something we're working on in the lab. Come on, Andrew, let's go to Rabina's lab. Billy said. Eric, Rebecca, and Captain Sean Grady walked into Rabina's lab and saw Andrew and Billy already seated in a round conference table with seats for 12. Rabina started, have a seat. This is a product of Mac solutions to problems posed by our science teams. She picked up a strange-looking gun that looked like a small grocery scanner with a smaller tube at one end with an even smaller hole. She pointed it at a metal at the far end of the table and let go a round of several hundred light balls. The balls passed right through the metal and tore up the wall, then tore up into the other room's wall. Whoa, easy on that thing. We don't want to tear up the wall all the way to General Cook's bathroom. Andrew stood and shouted. Everybody laughed. What is it? The hole is awfully small, a matchstick can't go through that hole. And no sound. Billy said. This is really a laser gun, except that we turn the laser light into a round plasma coating a very tiny metal wire that melts as it travels. Then the metal explodes with the sudden expansion of the plasma in the target material. The limitation is this iron wire mag. Rabina explained. How many shots does it fire? Andrew asked. The power pack is in the handle, which is half its weight. It can shoot continuously for 1,000 hours at least. The power pack is solid diamond power pack. Is that a lot? How many regular M2 mags is that? Andrew asked. Maybe around 2 large crates, maybe more. You'll need to change your wire mag every 20,000 shots. Roger walked in and, if I had a diamond the size of that handle, I can retire for 400 years. Everybody laughs. Yes, but we have several million tons of this, remember? We have 100 tons of this diamond in the warehouse. Rabina said. Is it safe? Andrew asked. If you program this handle with your code, it will turn into a thermonuclear bomb with a timer. Otherwise it's just a regular pistol. Rabina said. How long can you issue this out and test in the field? Say for all Endeavor personnel. Eric asked. The final weapon will have a larger bore and longer plasma shots. We had them in production already, so you can expect them in as early as 2 days. Rabina answered. Good, let's all test them in 2 days. But I would suggest you remove the thermonuclear part, okay? And can you put some sound like a regular gun? Shooting something quietly is not very dramatic and mean. Andrew said. 2 days later. General Cook to the bridge, sir, Franks calls. What's up, Captain? Alan asked. Sir, we have taken control of the command center and video shows that the aliens look like Max with round-shaped eyes. Recording shows that they have removed all our animal stocks and transferred them to this ship. It's fairly large, about a third our size. They also have these human-like robots, although still looking like Max to me. Diane, how long before we can scan and beam in an infiltration team? Alan asked. We can scan 16 hours from now. We can beam infiltration teams 5 hours after that. Our ETA is 23 hours from now. Diane said. 17 hours later the ship alarm sounds. GX teams to the mission room in 2 hours. That was a long sleep, thought Andrew. I hate that sound. Hello, sir, Ellie greeted Andrew as he strode into the mess hall. I only have an hour to eat 3 plates. Andrew declared, and everybody laughed. Sir, we'll go ahead to Rabina's to get our water pistols. Roger said as he left the group with Eric. I want mine red, Andrew shouted from the food line. I need to pass by the lab and look at something. Ellie said. Tony was left with Gadden. I better alert the infiltration teams and tell them not to go to the mission room. I'll just let the team leaders in. Okay, Tony, you can leave for whatever you want to pretend to do. Andrew said. Actually, sir, I just need to go to the men's room. Andrew was left eating alone, although seemingly content. At the mission room. Alan stood and, sit down ladies and Max. I believe we should move this mission room to a larger hall. It's getting too crowded here. Jenny, please. Colonel Jenny Green, a scan of the ship shows the aliens to be similar to Max with a few dozen android robots that are human-like or more specifically Mac-like. There are about 20,000 aliens on the ship, largely concentrated on these decks. There are several small transport ships and what looks like smaller 3-person attack ships. She shows the scan schematics and the ships. Green continued, MCOM has determined that the best plan would be to send the infiltration teams in these lighted areas. The hackers will beam here and here and here. Other team will beam to gather intel, plant tags and the cloaking discs. GX2 will lead the infiltration but will not engage unless on orders by General Cook. GX1 and GX3 will beam down to meet with the aliens at the Mac village. Why haven't they left the village? Do they know it's a big planet? Andrew asked. They're waiting for you, Andrew. Alan said. We believe they are waiting for contact. A large party has headed east and another west towards the river. They seem to be tracing the foundations of our cloaked structures. They seem to be stocking their ship with food and water. Their transport ships are very busy. Jenny said. Captain Jackson will beam into the residential areas to secure our personnel. Some marine teams will deploy in strike-ready areas. Jenny said. What's with the androids? Billy asked. Each party has 1 android. The party has sidearms and we can see some long firearms. The androids are not armed, at least not with the arms the others have. Jenny said. But I see the android have 2 arms. Andrew quipped and most laugh. Do they notice our control center? No, General Man, the center is invisible. Green said. Alan stood and, everybody deploy in 1 hour. Dismissed. There was a quick scramble out of the mission room as the teams get their gear and get ready to deploy. If not for the round eyes, I'd say this guy is your cousin, huh, Gadden? Andrew ribbed. Nice name, Andrew. They seem to be talking in a very old Mac language. Like a million-year-old language. Gadden said. Andrew, the Macs here have infiltrated the ship data center. These aliens are actually cousins of the Macs but without the collective implant. They have the first implant but not the second. They must have come from the same species line. The log said these guys were running away from their enemies they call Nit-Tin or Nit-Tins. The data shows these aliens were starving when they reached the planet. That's why they got all the food and a lot of water. The Macs have sent all the ship's data to Mcom. Logan said. They come from one of the moons called Desmina that rotates around a planet they call Casmina. Desmina was attacked by these Nit-Tins and the other two moons called Vesmina and Kesmina are preparing for the attack from the Nit-Tins. Ezra said. Is it possible, General Logan, for the Macs to touch these people and draw personal information? Gadden asked. Too risky. But we'll tag one of these and beam him to the ship. The Nit-Tins have cockroach-like heads with bee eyes, 4 hands and 2 clawed feet. They come from a planet 80 light-years away from Desmina, from another solar system. They have faster ships than the round eyes but nowhere near as fast as ours. Ezra explained. GX-1 was near one of the round eyes waiting. Andrew, I believe it's time for me to talk to these guys. I will uncloak in front of the group and the moment I decloak I want all the Macs to tag these guys. 1, 2, 3. Gadden said. Gadden decloaks and, greetings, my name is Gadden. Gadden said in the ancient language. The aliens were surprised, and a bit bothered by the sudden insect bite. What's he saying? Andrew asked the Mac beside him who turns translator for the cloaked team. Greetings, we call ourselves Makiti. My name is Makato Lamio and this is our leader Brinta Desmir. They obviously do not have implants since they have last names. The Mac said after the literal translation. We come from a world called Desmina and we left our world in search for our ancestors called Makis who may help us in our plight or fight against the Nit-Tins. 2 other worlds are in grave danger from our enemies called the Nit-Tins. Captain Franks, 5 ships coming at a fast clip towards this area. ETA 1 hour. Diane said out loud. Mitch, beam our people out and cloak the alien ship, now please. Alan said. Ellie, deploy the cloak disc. Positions please. Andrew said. In a few minutes the cloak activated and the round eye Macs saw the entire team surrounding them. The Nit-Tins will arrive near this planet within the hour. I would suggest you tell your teams to stand down and not move so our teams can contact them. Gadden told Desmir. Tell all the teams to stand down. Desmir told the android. We have cloaked your ship and this area here and soon all your teams so the Nit-Tins will not see anything on this planet. Gadden said. General Man, all teams have now cloaked all the round eyes. Jackson said. Okay, let's all sit down and tell me your story. Andrew said. Gadden translated and Brinta started to tell their story. The round eye they beamed into Medic Bay revealed to the Mac medics who touched them that they have been in the 3 moons for over 1 million years with a single language. Total population of the 3 planets is more than 30 billion. They have an old Mac language before our Macs turned psychic. They also live less at 300 years. It seems the Nit-Tins are an aggressive race, more aggressive than the Slanders, and 2 years ago they attacked their moon Desmina and have conquered half of the moon when they left a year ago to look for help. Killed millions and enslaved the rest. The ship is one of 2 of their only long-range ships since most of the ships travel between moons only. The other long-range ship was destroyed by the Nit-Tins. A touch from the Mac medics revealed that these aliens are really Mac cousins, have the non-aggressiveness implant but does not have the collective. They are a bit more advanced than Earth in some areas like food production, robotics and some medicines but less advanced in some. The Nit-Tins are more advanced in weapons and space travel than these round eyes but does not have our TPs and cloaking technologies. Their space travel is based on ion-like propulsion but not warp time speeds. Nit-Tin weapons are laser-based and they wear armor that protects them from laser blast. Desmir is actually the second council leader or second to the top leader for their whole race. Their military capabilities are medieval at best. They have no military experience and their weapons are mostly for show. Almost all of them have never fired these weapons. Mitch explained. GX teams. Get ready to deploy into the Nit-Tin ships. Mitch beams all the round eye Macs on the planet to Deck 18 and secure the area please. Alan said. I think we're in for another babysitter problem. Andrew told Ellie. Let me go to the lab, they have a sample of the Nit-Tin armor, Ellie said. Rabina was already setting up the armor as Ellie and Andrew walked in. She got their regular M2 and fired in automatic burst. She fired again. This time some bullets went through. Now she got her plasma pistol and fired a train of plasma balls. It ripped the armor in two like slicing through butter. "Wow, these plasma guns are a lifesaver," Ellie commented. "I wanted mine in red but all I got is one black one." Andrew said. "Sir, we all have black guns." Rabina answered. "Okay, but now I want two so I can shoot with both hands." "Fine, Rabina, give the boy his toy," she whispered to Rabina, who smiled. "All GX teams to the mission hall please," said General Cook's voice over the comm. At the mission room, Alan started. 5 knit-tin ships will arrive in 30 minutes. 1 big ship, for small ones. We need 5 teams with the usual Mac infiltrator support. Eric move in with Captain Han and Colonel Lei. Pia move in with Emmett for the small ships. A Marine strike team of 8 each will cover each of the 5 teams. The scan shows that the best beam areas are these lighted areas. GX1 to the big ship. GX1 will be beamed here near the bridge while the Max will be here and here. The smaller ships have less space but we figured the teams will beam here in these lighted areas. Try to memorize the ship layout. Jenny said. Do we blow up the ships or what? Andrew asked. Do not blow anything without my order. Get ready to deploy now. Alan said. Another mad scramble. GX1 found themselves in the ship, invisible to the knit-tins. These are ugly buggers. And what's with all the hissing? Andrew, I believe that's how they talk. They're scanning the planet and base on how they scan they can't see anything. Roger, try to not to get too close to these. They might smell you. Ellie said. Look, I take a bath like anybody else. Roger said. No, I mean you might bump the thing and blow our cover, fool. The Macs have hacked into their database. And have planted cloaking devices on the ship, looking for long-range comm systems and armory. Gadden said. That was quick, what did they find out? Andrew asked. Mitch broadcasted, based on the data, these knit-tins absolutely cannot see us cloaked. Their computer systems are a bit more advanced than Earth. Their engines are older and poorly designed according to Nissel here. The Macs have found the armory in the big ship and secured it. All contents will be beamed out. The Macs have started planting one-way force field walls to lock the knit-tins in place once the commotion starts. Andrew, a Mac team found several dozen Macs in a holding cell of the ship, and a touch from the Mac leader shows memories of Macs brought along as food for the knit-tins. Several body parts are strewn all over the place. If not for our masks, the smell would be really revolting. Gadden explained. Force fields are all installed. All long-range communications devices have been identified and bombs placed. All armories are secure and ready to beam out. Beaming out of the enemy has started. Beaming the Mac prisoners to Deck 18. Mitch said. Positions everyone, you know the drill. Alan said. Green announced, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Alan repeated. As they wait, all Macs have returned and the armories have started to be beamed out. After 5 minutes, the ship uncloaked and a hologram of Alan was beamed into the bridge and, surrender your ships or you will be destroyed immediately, the hologram said in the old Mac language. The creatures moved fast and all the 5 ships fired laser weapons at the Endeavor with no visible effect. They fire again. They heard a loud thud and suddenly the teams uncloak and open fire using their plasma pistols. The knit-tins were literally torn in shreds as the pistols' firing line crisscrossed. The bridge was also damaged by the flying plasma. There was a mad skirmish in the ships and the teams quickly destroyed the knit-tins. Some of the teams simply shot into the one-way force field and into the knit-tins on the other side who cannot go through the field from their side. In 5 minutes, all knit-tins were dead. There were no injuries on the team members. Andrew announced, main ship is secure. Mitch, tell the cleaners to come over. In another 5 minutes, all the team leaders have reported that their areas have been secured. Team members to the mission room in 20 minutes. Alan said. Mitch, Nissel, Malcolm, let's go to Deck 18. As they entered the main hall in Deck 18, the round eyes suddenly dropped to their feet, kneeled and prostrated themselves, their heads touching the floor. Nissel went ahead and touched Brinta Desmere. General Cook, this is their way of thanking us for saving them from their enemies. Get up, please get up, Nissel told them in the old language. Tell them we will transfer them to their ship so they can return to their home worlds. Malkin translated the general's statement to Desmere. Nissel translated, we left our world to look for our ancestors. Now we find them and see they are much more powerful than our enemies and they do not want to help us? One of our worlds has been taken over by the knit-tins, the 2 others have no defense. Please help us. We cannot help them. We are only 1 ship and a few thousand men. Their enemies are in the millions. We cannot win. Tell them that. Alan countered. Nissel translated, then we will go home in shame to tell our people that our powerful ancestors are not able to help us. Please help our people. They have killed more than 100 million of our brethrens, maybe by now another 100 million. General, I saw the carnage and the cities being destroyed. Tell them to stand by then. Let's go to the mission room. Alan said. The ships are useless to us. Green told the group. I see ships and I see we need ships, can't we just outfit these with our equipment and fly them? Andrew asked. The metal used in the ships are weak, our plasma pistol can cut through them easily. The ship's structure cannot survive a slowdown from warp space. We can use them as space station and hover them over the planet. It would be unwise to use them for travel. Keelmill explained. Alan walks in and heard the argument, at ease people. Here's the beef, they are pleading for us to save their planet. I want to have a good reason why I should risk our ship and personnel to do this. Alan said. Remember General, these are Max also, just branched out into another subspecies. I have seen the carnage. While we save 6 million from the slanders, the Nittins have killed millions in a year. They occupied the place based on Desmir's thoughts. Nissel pointed out. We are only one ship. To turn the tide of the war we need people and equipment. We need more ships. Alan countered. If we have all 3 starships, the war can be won. But it will take time to prepare logistically. We were lucky Rabina was able to provide these plasma weapons just in time for the attack. We are lucky they have outdated technology. Ellie said. I'd say call the Enterprise and the USS Constitution and get all the men and Max we can muster and beat the shit out of these creatures. Andrew said. The mission of the Enterprise is Earth-related or near-Earth missions. The USS Constitution is parked at the end of one of the Mac home galaxies and their mission is technology transfer and production. They are not accessible to us. Alan explained. Some of the Marine teams can be upgraded to GX teams. These people are a whole branch of our species like the Earthlings are a branch. We are all Macs and humans. We are obliged to aid these people. Gadden said. Malcolm enters the room and said, these people will forever be indebted to us. Desmir as second-in-command promises to bring their whole people behind our exploration efforts. We can use their industries and resources. A dying man will promise the world in order to live. Eric said. It could end up to be a protracted war. Alan said. General Cook, I don't think it will be a long war. In fact, it will be a short one. If they realize they cannot win, they will ask for peace in exchange for escape back to their planets. Andrew said. Nissel, Colonel Green, what have you found out from their database? Alan said. They have over 200 ships in orbit. They have over 1 million people on the ground. Green said. Maybe we can ask their leader to answer some questions. I want to know if we can use some of the populace to fight their own war. Andrew said. Call in their leader, Alan said as he motioned the guards. I don't think we can count on having Enterprise to help us. The USS Constitution is not near and may be here after 20 days if they respond at all. Mitch said. Where will we get our supplies? Redig, how many Macs can we count on? And how far is their world anyway? Billy asked. We can stay in orbit here at Planet Seattle and get our supplies from the TPs. Then we can meet the USS Constitution near the target moons. Green said. Based on my calculations we can be in the target orbit in 10 days. Redig said. See, it's not that far. We can go ahead so we can assess the battlefield. We have to see if we can win this at all. Along the way, establish TP jump-off points so our supply lines are continuous. This will stretch our ETA to maybe 12 days. Andrew said. Desmir arrives with Ezra. Sit here, Desmir. Ezra translated. Desmir sat beside General Cook. Tell us, how many personnel can we depend on your population to help fight your enemies? Gadden translated for the general. Ezra translated for Desmir, several millions. Our most advanced nation is on the world that was attacked and I estimate the population there to be 18 billion. Several millions will help us. We only need weapons. Several millions will also spy against us. I'd say we use only the Max we know. Andrew said. Andrew's right, it's too risky to use the locals. Alan said. Ikenkir. I will trust my life to Gadden and the Max we know, but I have this nasty feeling about the Round Eyes. Andrew said. Ezra, please move Desmir back to Deck 18. Then beam them all back to their ships. Mitch, coordinate all the supply requirements with the GX teams and Max. We leave as soon as we have enough. Alan said and a cheer broke out in the hall. Nissel, I want to make sure we have all the Max that can help us with our mission on board before we leave. I believe it will be a little crowded, so manage the people well. Alan said. Alan, I will have Gadden and several Max screen the Round Eyes to vet out any spy or spies. Then we can question the spies. Andrew said. Why do you think there are spies? Alan asked. Gut feel, you know I do not have this when I'm with our Max. Andrew said. Arriving in Desmina in 5 minutes, one if the 3 moons. Half of the GX team members and Mincom are on the bridge. It's not very often that we approach a battlefield without the ship's alarm hurting my ears. Andrew said. The moons are huge. Are they larger than Earth? Billy asked. All are bigger than Earth, the biggest one Desmina is 8% bigger. Green said. We scan the large planet and it seems to be largely rocks with a thick misty gas as its atmosphere, has a lot of water and some helium. Below this surrounding mist is largely a dry area composed mainly of iron and other heavy metals. A scan under the rocks show large water deposits and a deeper scan shows a large molten center, so the planet is a little hotter than usual. There are 218 ships in orbit scattered at different points in the moon Desmina. There are 4 others in Vesmina and 5 in Kesmina. Norman said. Okay, so how do you feel, Alan? Andrew asked. I'd say park ourselves behind this other planet until we can figure out what to do. How is the TP jump doing, Mitch? Alan asked. The last one was installed and we will be getting supplies within the day. It will take people 2 days on average to get our supplies from our major planets to us. Mitch said. Okay, GX teams and Max, study our situation and provide your recommendations. We'll meet on this in 3 days. In the meantime, Rabina has a surprise for all of you in her lab. Alan said.